Oi oi, Cheltenham's back. It's nearly New Year's Day. I mean, it's nearly New Year's Eve. Declarations are in. I had a message from DC talking about a couple of horses. I mean, asking a question, but we got talking horses. And it's made me look at the New Year's Day stuff a bit sooner than I'd actually planned to. So I'm going to quickly run through my thoughts on some of the races because I'm pretty sure I'm going to go through the cards. So I'll try and keep this short and sweet. Appreciate all the support for the Christmassy sort of stuff. We have got a really decent Christmas review that's coming up with a view to Cheltenham, so that's going to come out in the next week or so. So that's honestly going to be awesome. If you haven't already, then subscribe to the channel just so that it's easier. You get notification when the videos come out, and if you can drop videos a like as well when you're on there, then it's free, innit? Helps me out. So we've got Ballymore Novices Hurdle. It's like a listed race. It's a pretty weak listed race considering it's a listed race. Said that 8 times, haven't I? The thoughts on this for me really are, I am Maximus. I touched on him at the start of the season, talking about using my Drogo as a yardstick for a horse and how some horses can progress with their runs and some horses can desperately need them from the start. And then it's not always the best thing to do in its entirety to look at translatable form like that when there's horses that have had very few runs. So basically off their first start it's very risky to do it. Anywho, it's got a bit of a weird action, we know that anyway, but all of those things said, I just don't think he's going to be like a top grade horse. I don't think you see grade 1 horses with that sort of action, or that's just my early thoughts. Obviously anything can happen. I hope he does progress into a nice one. In this race though, probably something can run to mid 130s and be good enough to win this. So you could get I Am Maximus winning this comfortably or winning it nicely, and everyone's cooing about him being the next worldie, but maybe it's like he could just be like a 140s horse and look comfortable in here. The long and the short of this is I looked at the entry stage, and obviously now we've got final decks. Get a Tonic for the Skeltons was the one that I was already interested in. Like A, I want to take on Iron Maximus anyway, and B, I think she's going to be an okay price. Dan does have a share or a part of this horse, so some trainers will do that because there's not enough people in the syndicate or someone drops out, whatever it is, and it's like, oh, you know what, I'll just help you out and they'll be part of it. I know Graham used to do that a bit with McPherson Racing, but in this instance I think Get a Tonic could be alright. You know, I think she's a fairly steady enough mare, and in the grand scheme of all of this, like, not to run through all of the form and bits and pieces like that, but in the grand scheme of this race, she's going to get £7 off of them. I think that a boy's got to run, well, can run to mid 130s, like a 135, and win this. She's going to get £7, so she can run to about a 128, I think, and I think she's capable of doing that. Like, I'd say she's probably comfortably 125 to 135, so she's got that £10 range to play in. Anywho, Get a Tonic in that race is one that I fancy a bit. Dr. Ken was one that they backed at Aintree, loads and loads of late money for that. I backed him then at a bigger price, got loads of each way places, so I was fairly happy, but it's just punting for the sake of punting that day. He did win after, so like, I think they think a bit of him, and obviously he's gone and done that, but this is the sort of class race that he's in. Like, I think you can see him, Hillcrest, I Am Maximus, like, could be nice horses. I just think I'd take a punt with Get a Tonic. And obviously Fergal O'Brien and Paddy Brennan have got put again green out there, and on those figures and the fact that that horse has 1 race is like, you give him half a chance. But Get a Tonic in the first would be one that I will be back in. Second race, Festival Handicap Chase. It's a race I'm not like overly confident in, but I'll just give you my quick spin on it anyway. I like Fullback as a horse. I do think that Fullback around about 135 is very winnable. So, like, I think he's one to seriously take consideration of. Gary Moore, I know he had Cider Grugier, but I remember Ahmad that he had him before, and he just basically commented that he didn't really like running his horses at Cheltenham. He doesn't think Cheltenham's that great a race course, or that fair a track, or that safe a track, or I can't remember exactly what it was, but basically he was slating Cheltenham a little bit. So I tend to take note that when he sends a horse here, he's not doing it for the sake of a run. I don't think. I think when he sends a horse to Cheltenham, 9 times out of 10 he's doing it because he thinks that that's the best race for him to win him, because he wouldn't take the risks of horse there. So Fullback, I like him anyway, and then that reason. Under Supervision's one as well that sort of bumped into one with that Courage Rambler that I was quite keen on last time at Cheltenham. I think that was a bit of a blot, but they held up Under Supervision in that race. They put him at the back. He made some mistakes, and he'd already fallen the time before as well, but he made some mistakes in there. He's obviously the horse that ran through that false tape when he probably could have beaten Does He Know right at the beginning of the season. I think this horse is progressive, but maybe in the last couple of runs hasn't looked so progressive. Like, I think he was maybe hidden in plain sight behind those front 2 last month. So, like, I think this ground will suit him as well. I think this, like, a little bit softer underfoot's actually really going to help him. He's the sort of horse that I potentially could see as like an Ultima type horse. So, like, I give him a chance in it. So he would be one that I'm interested in under supervision and probably fullback as well. Like, I'd be tempted to probably play the pair, but wouldn't be overly keen and like really confident. But they'll be the two that I'm going to play. Then in the 125, the Dipper. Sad that it's a grade 2 because it looks possibly weaker, but I don't know. I could be being harsh. Long press for Venetia, probably worthy favourite. Does look the one to beat, but for me, Miller's Bank would have been one that I was tempted to back. He is, on the prices that I can see now, he is only 11-4, so he's not a gulf between them. There are potentially going to be, there's 9 in there now, so there is potentially going to be 3 places up for grabs. I would look at Miller's Bank as potentially one. I know he unseated last time, which is maybe not the best prep coming into a race around Cheltenham, but I would see that he's the sort of horse that should definitely be in the frame. He was only a length behind Buzz at Aintree. I think he's a good horse, to be honest with you, and I just think he's probably priced about where he should be in terms of chance and ability. So if you're going to back anything, you want to get a bit of value, didn't you? But I don't know if you could get 4-1 and then each way a few places, then it would look like a nice muggy each way bet, I think. Then we've got a handicap chase after this where Aunadam finally runs. Should have run, I think, in the December meeting, but the ground wasn't there for him. So it's going to come here. When I was talking to Darren earlier, he mentioned a few stats as well about horses that hadn't run 4 out of the last 5 winners, hadn't run in November or December meeting. So good for Aunadam on those numbers. Zanza will be popular. Cheap pieces go on that one now. I've never backed Zanza when he's won a race. I've backed him, well, I haven't backed him recently, but I've backed him most of the time before when he kept getting beat in races. So he'll be popular and he'll be there or thereabouts. But like Aunadam, I'd be fairly keen on. Especially I can see a price of 6-1 in. Like, I'd be fairly keen on him at anything over 4-1. So Aunadam would be a sort of a strongish fancy. I do think Riders on the Storm is better than 147. The comeback run at was it Aintree? At Aintree. Like, I thought that was actually a really good run. And he should be stepping forward from that effort as well. So he's probably too big a price, maybe the saver. But yeah, I would be fairly sweet on Aunadam, or as sweet as I can get in a handicap chase. Then there's the handicap hurdle where there wouldn't be too many in there that I'd be interested in. I've looked at it a couple of times, but there isn't anything that really jumps out to me as a horse that I'd want to be backing in there. So we'll leave that as is. We'll skip on to the real kill. I think Stormy Island's like the best horse in this race, and she's getting some girls' allowance, isn't she? We've seen the sort of rude health that Willie Mullins' horses are in when it comes to Christmas. Like, he always dots up at Leopardstown. She has been a bit in and out. I do think she's too big a price. She's 9-2, I can see on here. I know I do respect McFabulous, I do respect Brewing Up a Storm, but they sort of win flash in the pan races, or they have those flash in the pan efforts, which is similar to like a Stormy Island. But when you're looking at those two as 6-4 and 2-1, and you can get Stormy maybe 4-1 plus, I think she's probably the play. I do like Indefatigable. She's going to be there or thereabouts as well, so it looks like a fairly tidy race. Guide Your Dreams is a nice horse. On the blind side, we know he's capable potentially on his day. Like, it looks a nice race. Stormy would be one that I'd side with, though, I think, in this. Unless, like Daryl said, she thinks when she goes on the boat she's going back to Paul Nicholls. So temperament and things like that of a pre-race could be a factor, but that's the way that I'm leaning at the moment. And then there's a bumper at the end. Again, I've sort of looked at it, but haven't gone into it in great depth. Paddy's Brennan's ride for Fergal O'Brien down the bottom, Poetic Music. She was pretty good at Newbury, I thought. I think she was valued for much more than that effort that day. She would need to step up on that, I think, to probably win this type of race, just historically the types of horses that might have won this, but that would be one that's in there. But that's not really me saying too much, is it? A Fergal horse at Cheltenham. So they're my thoughts for the 6 races, I think it is, or 7 races on New Year's Day. Yeah, so if you're having a bet, then be lucky. If there's anything you fancy, then feel free to drop it in the comments. I always read and reply to every single one of them. And if not, and you don't want to talk to me, I mean, we're not talking anyway, are we? Let's be honest. I just want to say Happy New Year. Thanks for your support. And like I said, there'll be some decent content coming out in the new year, reviewing Christmas and a big view towards Cheltenham, because entries are going to start coming out very soon. So I think it's a good time to take stock and see where we're at. So again, be lucky. Thanks for the support. And don't forget to like and subscribe.